Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to The Lock Shop, presented to you by Coolbet Canada. If you've not yet signed up for an account at Coolbet, please do so. Go to coolbet.com, use the code LOCKSHOP when you do, and you get 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit up to 200 smackaroos. P. Greg is going to pop by. We're going to be obviously talking some golf today. You can text us anytime, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. If you're watching over on YouTube today, make sure you hammer the thumbs up for us. That would be great as well. And Rod Z says, Dusty solo? No, Dusty's not solo. Huss is going to be here. P. Greg is going to be by as well. I'm just getting us going. I'm just getting us rolling. Yeah, Huss is ready to go. He's locked in. P. Greg is going to be by. There he is. Huss from Winnipeg Sports Talk, CFL 110. I was listening, actually, CFL 110 on my drive in this morning, buddy. I got about 35 minutes left. It really hit CFL 110 has become one of my favorite podcasts. And I can't believe I get to do a show with the host every single day. This is incredible. This is incredible.
I love it. Appreciate it. Well, dude, I don't know if I told you this yesterday, but because Remus is away, normally we do it on Wednesdays. We were going to do it Tuesday this week because Reem's away for a few days.
Yeah, you mentioned this, the tech issue, and then I heard it on the pod.
Yeah. Like we would have been 15 minutes in as Remus puts up the producer's note, Rourke going back to BC, which would have completely, we would have just probably had to start all over again, having it not, we often will do it live after Winnipeg Sports Talk on Wednesdays, but we didn't early. But wow, what a crazy 24 hours. He's starting on Sunday.
Well, how about the money he got for the next couple of years too? You see that? Not bad.
Going, what's up with this marketing money?
Yeah, we talked with Naylor about it today, and Schoen has some, Brady Oliveira has some, and it's basically just a way around the cap. That's all it is. It's and there's no limit on it. So if somebody wanted to give Nathan Rourke $500,000 in marketing money, they can give him $500,000 in marketing money. As Naylor said today, he goes, the CFL hasn't really set sort of a max on it, but they're be reasonable about it. But you know how reasonable about it is if it's Nathan Rourke's going to go back to the NFL. Well, Amar Doman's here's $1 million in marketing money. It's just, it's funny with some of the bigger money owners around the league now, that marketing money could play into this, buddy.
What's Doman's business?
I think he came from, I should know this off the top of my head. Vaguely, I believe it has something to do with forestry, logging, and I think that's where I think that's where it comes from.
I thought he was like me. I thought he had a background in the car business or something. And I was just imagining the weekly Monday Nathan Rourke car wash going on at the Omar Doman dealership or something like that. Listen, this happens, and there are a lot of guys, and listen, it makes sense. If you're in a market like a Winnipeg, for instance, where the Bombers are really successful and a big deal, and these guys have big profiles, the ability to tie them coming back with some additional opportunities in the market makes sense. When the team itself brokers it, it does get a little, listen, if that happened in the National Hockey League, and oh, you know what? We're signing Leon Draisaitl's back for 8.5. And we've got a $4 million marketing deal that he's going to be doing for OEG.
I love the CFL, man. I love it.
But listen, the Rourke is so huge because, the amount of marketing money he's getting is like the amount of Brady Oliveira's entire contract. And then there's another 600 or 700K.
Yeah,
on it.
That's true. That's a good point.
But listen, Rourke is Rourke. He's every team would have done it if they could. BC knew full well, as we've talked about on this program and on our own respective shows and stations, 9 teams would have been interested in Nathan Rourke.
Yeah, 100%.
Coming back to the CFL. So, listen, they got the job done right now to get him back to where he wanted to be, obviously. If he wanted to really shop his services and try and get a better deal, I'm sure that would have taken a while, and he wouldn't have been on the football field on Sunday. So I don't know if you caught, I tweeted this out, but I had Brady on the show yesterday, actually.
I saw you tweet a video. I didn't watch the video though.
It was an awesome, he's a great interview and a really thoughtful guy. And I didn't even get to the point of asking him like, hey, what do you guys think about Nathan Rourke? I just asked him, hey, Brady, what time did you guys practice today? And he goes, well, we were on the field at 11:30. Out there about 11:15. I'm like, so had you guys heard? And he's like, oh yeah. Before we went out, there was some rumblings about Nathan Rourke coming back, and it sounded like it was happening. And we got back from practice and then saw that it was legit. And then he just went in and said, listen, as you know, as a proud Winnipeg kid playing for the Bombers, loving the CFL, this is amazing news for the league. Like, I mean, you know, like from the Winnipeg perspective, does that make BC an even more formidable foe going forward? And on Sunday, absolutely. But, you know, he's a guy that gets the big picture. He said he wants kids in BC to be throwing on 12 jerseys and to be putting butts in seats. Farhan said, like, the marketing money I think he's getting, or the amount of money he's getting this year, and I don't know how it's split up, is I believe 250K.
Yeah, 200.
Farhan said there's a good chance that they sell an extra 5,000 tickets for Sunday's game just because of this news today. So
good point.
Listen, it's a good business-wise, football-wise. It's great for the Lions. It's really good for the Canadian Football League. And I got to tell you, I'm very envious of you, my friend. The two games you've got this week are honestly, I can't think of two regular season games with so much intrigue. Maybe going back to the Bombers BC Classic last year that determined who would win the West at the end of the season. And other than that, like, we haven't had the Bo Levi Mitchell going back to Calgary the year afterwards. Like, that happened early on this year.
That's right.
But I mean, with Fajardo going back to Saskatchewan, a Grey Cup champion, 8-1 on a first place team. At the same time, Trevor Harris returns. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. And then a rematch between the Bombers and Lions after what happened last week, which is a complete flip of the script for the rest of the season. And adding in Nathan Rourke. I mean, come on. This will be fun to get to the CFL picks tomorrow. And I just saw the lines Maddie sent out for our weekly contest. I'm already perusing them, and I'm very much excited to see you do your thing for 8 quarters.
Oh, I'm ready to go.
2 amazing games on Friday.
Give me 2 thrillers. I'm ready. I haven't broadcast the game in 3 days. And I'm
getting rusty.
Yeah, I'm getting rusty. I got it. I went to a kids hockey game last night. Called it just to stay on top of things. So yeah, no, but hey, just sticking with that game. I mean, I can't wait. You're right. Like, you know, I don't like leaving every single weekend for the job, but I'm very excited to go this weekend because I know there's 2 beauties coming right down the pipe here. Kenny Lawler back for the Bombers too, right? Is that like you mix that in like God.
That's going to be under the radar. Let's just say that won't be getting the attention it probably deserves for obvious reasons. But that's going to be a big boost to the Bomber offense to get Kenny back in there. And as I say, you know, when you have a defense playing the way that the Bomber defense played heading into the bye week, you're going to have a chance to win. It'd be interesting to see if the Bombers can get a little bit better on getting 6s instead of 3s with Kenny back in. I mean, that's the big goal for the offense right now. I mean, they moved the football really well. They have moved the football quite well for the last few weeks. But all year long, they have not been very good in the red zone. And they just haven't gotten as many touchdowns. And that's the reason why you have Castillo, you know, going 6 for 6. And again, did it matter in that game? Not at all. I mean, they were more than willing to keep on running the football and keeping the defense off the field. But listen, going to BC, whether it was VA, whether it was Nathan Rourke, I think it was Dola Gala. I mean, with all due respect,
yeah,
they were going to need to score some touchdowns. So, but I can tell you what, the Bombers, it was weird because the Bombers had such a busy, like they didn't get a bye until last week. Like they had played the first 9 weeks of the season. The last 2 games were 5 days apart. They had the Thursday game. The guys were all out of town if they were going somewhere on Friday. they basically had like a full 10 days off. It was almost like a double bye because of the Thursday game, bye week, and then the late game this week. So they'll be rested, recharged, ready to go. Hopefully there's no rust on them, but going to be a hell of a way to finish off the season. While we're talking about it, here's a quick update on these lines. As I said yesterday, if we find out that Nathan Rourke's starting, we could see a big flip on this. It's already happened. Yesterday morning, the Bombers were 3-point favorites. Rourke comes back. It's off the board. Rourke signs with BC. Bombers were 1-point favorites. And now BC's a 1-point favorite and a -119 money line fave. Bombers right now at -102 for that final game. Calgary's up to 3.5-point favorites against the Red Blacks. The Alouettes are still 1-point favorites in Saskatchewan. Essentially, the Montreal and BC lines are exactly the same. 1-point favorites and -119 on the money line. Bombers and Riders are both +1 and -102 on the money line. And then there's the Elks, 2-point favorites on the road against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, seeing if they can run the winning streak to 3 and stay the top team in the league. What's the Ford word? What are we hearing about Trey Ford?
He was listed as day to day. I heard from somebody yesterday that he wasn't going to be starting, but I believe yesterday they listed him at day to day. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens on that front. It's interesting with Hamilton, like with Bo Levi. Remember they didn't start. We talked about this with Naylor this morning on our show too. Remember last year in the playoff game, they didn't start Bo Levi Mitchell. Then they brought him in like late into the game, and Bo was like after the game, he was like, I don't know why you don't start your highest paid player. And now, Milanovic and the organization, what did he start 3 for 5 with a pick last week? And they're like, boom, you're out. Powell's in. I know Jake Mara stayed super healthy for a long time. Can you imagine if Jake Mara suffers a significant injury over the next few weeks and the Calgary Stampeders are in a battle for second place in the West and they're like, we need a quarterback to come in. And they trade for Bo Levi Mitchell and he returns to Calgary to wrap up his career this season. Wouldn't that be a twist?
I'm here for it. I'm definitely here for it. That would be, listen, there's a disconnect between Milanovic and Bo.
Oh, yeah.
In that Bo's leading the league, and I believe passing yardage, passing accuracy. I mean, a bunch of stats. The problem is he's also leading the league in picks. And, Jeff Hamilton yesterday on CFL 110, recounted a point early in the season. It might have been week 2, might have been week 3, where Milanovic absolutely tore a strip off Bo Levi on the sidelines. I mean, as much as you've ever seen a coach do to a veteran quarterback that way. And it seemed like, Milanovic said he can come back and he can start, but he's got to do it within the system. And I don't know whether there's a little too much freelancing or it's just the decision-making, but it seemed crazy to take him out and then see what Powell did, which was not much, and then immediately announce him as the starter for next week. So I don't know what's going on in Hamilton. I thought they maybe had a little bit of momentum after those 2 wins, but they're the worst team in the CFL right now. And I don't think there's much of a doubt about that. Even though they have the same 2 wins as the Edmonton Elks, the Elks seem to be going up and Hamilton's kind of either stuck in neutral or at worst reverse.
Pete Greggy's going to pop by. We're going to get to some golf picks. Gager was in on the morning show today and we were talking just back to the Olympics. We were watching the Australian breakdancer again this morning before the show, buddy.
Gregoire.
I watched the whole thing again this morning and I couldn't contain myself. Like that is just an all-time legendary Olympic performance that we'll remember for the rest of our days.
Yeah. I mean, there is something to be said. There's so many different angles on this. Someone saying like, oh, good for her. She scammed everybody and made it to the Olympics. There's a lot of scrutiny in Australia right now about how they decided who was going to the Olympics.
Yeah.
And like this whole thing of putting breaking in was a bit of a scam by the IOC to try to connect with younger Gen Z sports viewers or Gen Z people that might not normally be watching the Olympics. And they thought, okay, breakdancing's cool. Let's do that. Well, they signed up with like the World Dance Federation. I might be screwing up what the acronym is, but whatever. They do dance. And these are the people that are trying to have ballroom dancing in the Olympics, which used to be. And they're like, no way. There's no way we're doing ballroom dancing. However, maybe we do breakdancing. And they said, oh, okay. They had no connection to breakdancing or whatever. And they just sort of took it over as some dance governing body. So there was nothing created in Australia. I mean, there was lots of people that breakdance, but there was no organization. So Dr. Raygun, the PhD in deconstructing, whatever, I can't even remember what her PhD was in, but basically it was like the study of breakdancing, and her thing was being a B-girl in a male-dominated, it was all the talking points of some of the academia that I think is a little self-indulgent. I will just say this. So anyways, she basically took control, from what I understand, of the organization of the Olympic qualifying. And they didn't make it accessible to a lot of the probably younger, more talented breakers there. And lo and behold, she wins it. And her husband happens to be the coach too. So I don't know. The bottom line is, though, if you care about breakdancing, if you care about, where it comes from, the culture of it, like, the ironic is, like, women like this are the ones that are probably accusing everyone else of, like, cultural appropriation and all of these things, when what she did was exactly that. Went out there, made a mockery of it, and ensured that the only thing people remembered from the breakdancing competition was going to be this farce of a performance by this middle-aged Australian woman, and not any of the talented breakers that were in it. And completely, before any male breaker even hit the stage, ensured that there was zero chance it was coming back to the Olympics anytime soon. So congratulations, Raygun. Your life's work to promote breaking was pretty much nullified, and you've done more damage to the sport, the art, whatever you want to call it, than anyone could have done. That being said, comedy-wise, all time.
I love how I just laid it out for you. You just went for like 4 minutes on breaking. I mean, legendary performance.
I've got many takes on this.
Yeah.
I've got many takes.
This is Derek from The Hat over on YouTube says, the Raygun and Seinfeld intro music is just perfect. Put it together like... I know this. Yeah, exactly. Right. It's Elaine Bennis. 100%. It's Elaine Bennis. Hey, before we bring in Patty, should we put together a little MLB parlay here?
Well, let's
Might as
do
well
it.
do that, because then we'll get into
pat
golf.
ourselves on the back for a nice winner last night.
Not only that, but I think I also hit on the Lock Shop play of the day and the Coolbet hotline from the Nielsen show. So it was a clean sweep. Clean sweep of the baseball picks.
I'm telling you right now, the end of August is important. Picking baseball, picking CFL, these sort of things, it's all about momentum heading into week 1. And I have gone into my records over the course of the year and looking at, winning, losing, how am I looking at? I have often, almost every year, had a bit of a lull through late June into mid-August, and then we start picking up. And I'm focused. It's much like training camp right now. We're in training camp, sports betting training camp for the upcoming NFL season. But yeah, that was great. And by the way, that Hunter Green guy that I was talking about,
yes,
I know he's probably not going to win the Cy Young because of what Sale's done this year in Skeens. Dude, he was throwing triple-digit gas by every single guy last night on the Cardinals. It wasn't even 10 minutes into the game. I hadn't even seen it started yet. And I fired up my Twitter, or X as it's now known. Yeah. The pitching ninja was doing layovers of Hunter Green fastballs past guys. So anyways, it was a nice night. That guy's a lot of fun to watch, and it's a lot more fun when we get the win. All right, we got to make sure we're picking later games today, because this is getaway day for a lot of series. I see the Royals and the Twins are playing right now already. We got the Rockies Diamondbacks. So 5 p.m. starts here. Anything that catches your eye right off the bat?
Well, there was a couple. The first one was I was gonna hop on the Pirates, but that game starts right away. It's at 2:10. So that one was not going to work. But if you like it, Pirates plus 118 today. A little bit of a dog there. I think I'm going to roll with the Houston Astros minus 119 against a Tampa lineup that has been struggling a bit with the bats as of late. Blanco will get the start for the Astros. kind of bringing some ace stuff to the table right now. He's got 3.02 ERA, and I think I'm going to ride with him in the Astros tonight at minus 119 would be what I would throw into this parlay today.
Minus 119. Hey, interesting matchup between they got the fifth starters in for the Dodgers Brewers game. Walter Buehler, who's 1-4 with an ERA near 6, going up against Freddie Montas, who's 5-8 with a 5.10 ERA. The Yankee, do we dare take the White Sox again against the Yankees? Warren, 11-17 ERA starting for the Yankees. That team is a minor league team. We can't really go that far. I'll tell you what, I don't mind the Giants actually in the night game. It's an interesting matchup. You got Holmes versus Ray. Ray's last few starts have been really good. 6 innings, 2 earned runs last time out, 5 2 before, 5. I mean, they'll probably get into the bullpen a little bit more. I'm just checking out this Holmes for Atlanta. Has a 0-0. He's lost his last 3 starts. He's given up. Yeah, give me the Giants.
Okay.
And let's just see. I was just on ESPN checking this out. The Giants, that's the late game. Minus 130 for the Giants.
Yeah, it's plus 226 pre-boost. Astros minus 119, Giants minus 130.
Love it. Plus 226. We'll get that over to Jake and the fellas and get that in and hopefully go back-to-back on the double play after a nice little win last night.
Beautiful. All right, there he is, Pete Gregoire, coming in for some golf. Patty, what's going on, buddy? How was the wedding? How was getting married over the weekend?
Tough news for the ladies in the lock shop.
The wedding was beautiful, but the biggest news of the weekend was Aaron Rye cashing a bet for.
Man.
Oh, I just about spit that.
My God.
No, man. I'm kidding. It was beautiful. It was awesome. It was a nice, quiet, intimate ceremony with just our immediate family. It was very nice. Very, very nice.
When were you planning on telling everyone about this? Just
when I put the Instagram post out, pretty much.
That's great. We knew he got engaged, but I had no clue that this was happening. And I mean, we're still texting through the weekend. He's like, "Oh, Rye's right in there," and everything like that. And you see this Instagram picture of Pat and his beautiful bride looking amazing, going, was this like a throwback or, oh no, that's 22 hours ago. What the hell?
I was mocking you on Monday for the off the grid text. We were like, sorry, man, been kind of off the grid. ... Got married on Friday. I was like, you don't use that for off the grid. Like off the grid is you were golfing with the boys, not getting married on the weekend. Like, come on, man.
We said we wanted to keep it low key. We were keeping it low key. Trust me, if it was a big wedding banger, the lock shop crew would have been invited out. We know that, but no, it was nice. We wanted to keep it small, intimate, special, and that's exactly what it was.
Well, listen, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
And your lovely bride. You looked amazing. The $1 million smiles from both of you guys. Looked like it was a great day though. The weather was nice.
Weather couldn't have been better. Honestly, it was raining all morning, pouring rain, which is good luck. I hear it's good luck if it does rain on your wedding day. And the ceremony was supposed to take place around 2:00. I kid you not, 1:50. Skies open up and it's beautiful. So a couple of our guardian angels were looking over us and couldn't have asked for a better day.
Quick, go ahead, Huss.
I was just saying the fairy tale of last weekend. First, the skies opening up, and then Aaron Rye.
Aaron Rye gets it done. I was just gonna say, like on our wedding day, we the night before it was raining pretty good, and I was just like, oh my God! Like, and as the husband, you're like, I'll get married in whatever conditions. But for my wife, I was like, man, you know what it is, Patty. I'm like, okay. So the next morning we woke up. And it stopped raining, but we were getting married outdoors, and like where all the chairs were going to go was kind of really puddly. And for the whole morning, they were pumping water out of there. And by the time it got to the wedding in the afternoon, everything had dried up. It was like 26 degrees. It was just, oh my God, we got so lucky. It was so good. So good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It always seems to work out.
Well, it worked out for you at the Wyndham, and now it's FedEx Cup playoff time.
Yes,
and,
this is
we're
crunch
down
time, boys.
We're down to
already.
The top 70.
Wow.
And I was reminding myself of this event last year. This was when Lucas Glover went back to back. He won the Wyndham, and then he followed it up the next week by beating Patrick Cantlay in a playoff to win. And obviously that catapulted him up and made him a lot of cash. But Patty, I mean, what do we need to know about this tourney, the course, and just the setup? Because again, what's very important, I think, for people to know, this isn't a regular PGA Tour tourney. This is the top 70. You have to be in the top 50, I believe, to make it to the next week, and then the top 30 to the Tour Championship, where you're playing for that massive check of 15 mil or whatever it is for the FedEx Cup.
Yeah, so it's not quite yet where we see in the Tour Championship where the leader starts with additional strokes, and it's a normal tournament, no cut though, and it starts with that 70. You are right. You have to be inside the top 50 to advance to next week. Top 50, not of this tournament, but overall standings within the FedEx Cup. 2,000 points for first place. So you can imagine how important that would be. 2,000 points for first place, and then 1,200 for second place, 760 for third, just looking at the breakdown now. So the points, I think, have quadrupled, if not at least tripled, based off what I can see. So you have to earn points here. Like we talked about last week, a guy like Taylor Pendrith sitting pretty solid in, I think, 26th. Corey Connors is in 30th. The other Canadians, though, like these guys almost have to finish inside the top 10 or in the top 15 if they want to continue on. So, of course, obviously Pendrith and Connors, they want to continue to go because these purses are absolutely massive. $3.6 million for the first place winner. That's one thing that, again, the bad thing about LIV, say what you will about that stuff. One thing, it did really put a point of emphasis on rewarding these players for making the playoffs, putting more money into the purses, and having that initiative. So that's what you got to look out for here. No doubt about that. So guys who are on that cut line, sitting around the 50 mark, they're going to have to up their game. Guys who are even further than that, like they're thinking it's almost like win or bust. And it kind of was funny. Like Lucas Glover was basically hanging on by the skin of his teeth for the last 3 weeks. He gets in with the Wyndham win and then wins again. So he really skyrocketed. Like, I mean, man, he was up near the top come Tour Championship time, where he was a guy that almost was on the outside looking in. So
quadruple points right now. Quadruple points for these events. So, I mean, like a win or a big performance, I mean, it just exponentially takes you to a bigger number.
Yeah, if you win this week, you're basically guaranteed to make it into the Tour Championship, and definitely moving on to next week. So those are the things you got to look for. That's what kind of makes things interesting as the week goes on. Maybe a guy can't win the tournament, but they figure, okay, for me to advance in the next round, I got to be inside the top 20. I got to be inside the top 30 so you can get those quadruple points. In terms of the course itself at TPC Southwind, so it's another TPC course. This one, though, is relatively short, which means the guys that absolutely mash it off the tee don't really have that advantage, but you still have to be a pretty accurate driver of the ball. Also, ball strikers, which a lot of courses on the PGA Tour, that really has a lot of success. It's a Bermuda grass. So check out your Bermuda putters, see how they last, how they work out. Putting is going to be important. But those are probably the three biggest metrics that I'm looking at when it comes to this event.
You'd mentioned the Canadians. And by the way, shout out to Jake. Jake popped in on WST yesterday and grabbed a clip. I had Z-Man on, Mark Zecchino. And we were talking a little bit about this event and a little bit about the, the President's Cup. And we got talking about that. And he got into Taylor Pendrith, the season that he's had. Jake clipped that out. It's on the Coolbet socials if you want to see it. You can check the entire interview on yesterday's Winnipeg Sports Talk. But I mean, Pandy, what a season he had. I mean, 27th. I mean, he's in the top 30. He should be playing next week regardless. But again, you got to make sure that you're there is it in Atlanta again, or did they move it this year? I'm not sure. Anyways, the top 30 of the for the Tour Championship. But here are the other Canadians. As Patty mentioned, Corey Connors is right there on the nose. He's at 30. You move down. Adam Hadwin is still in pretty good shape at 37. But you don't want to have a terrible week and put yourself out. Like a good week from him could put him in, again, a very good spot to get to the top 30. Mac Hughes in a much more precarious position at 48th. So just 2 up. And then the guy that Z-Man talked a lot about was Nick Taylor. And Nick Taylor all year long had been basically a lock for the President's Cup team, making it in the top 6. He's been brutal this summer. I mean,
it's been really
the Olympic Games, was whatever there. So he's now 52nd, and he was in the top 15, I think, for the better part of the first half of the season. He has to find a way to turn it around. And of course, our pal Svenny just missed getting in. He finished 75th on the list. But I mean, all the Canadians would like to play well. The guys with the most pressure on them this week, though, Mac Hughes and Nick Taylor for sure.
There's no doubt. I'm glad you brought up about Nick Taylor. Like, let's not forget, I don't think it's been that bad, it has been a really bad season, but it's been a really bad, like 3/4 of the season. He was riding off a high from that Canadian Open into the start of this year. He finished T7 at the Hawaii. And then let's not forget, he won the Phoenix Open. Like, if it wasn't for that win, there is zero chance Nick Taylor even makes it to this point. But after that, you look at just like his recent form, cut at the Wyndham, T3 at the Olympics, cut at the Open Championship, T57 at the Scottish Open, T42 at the Travelers, cut at the US Open, 27th at the Memorial, cut at the RBC, cut at the PGA Championship, T43 at the Wells Fargo, and then a solid performance at the Zurich Classic, but he was playing with Adam Hadwin in a team event. Like, there have been well more cuts than top 10 finishes for a guy last year that, with his big win at the Canadian Open, we thought he was on the precipice of becoming not just Canada's best golfers, but one of the better golfers on tour. Like, I mean, he has not even come close to hitting that ceiling that we thought. So it's going to be a real big struggle for him. I don't know. I know there is so much on the line. And a lot of the times, I think as golf fans, sports fans, we put a lot into that. But in the game of golf, when things aren't going well for you, it's really hard to just turn it on a dime. It's not like in a hockey game, you can go hop over the boards and run a guy into the boards, drop the gloves, fight, engage yourself. It's basically you, your caddy, against the course and everyone else out there. And if you can't figure things out, it is really, really hard to turn it around in just 1 week. It might almost be better for a guy like Nick Taylor to not make the top 50 and start thinking about next year, working on things, take a break, go away from the game and start worrying about next year. And I think he could kiss the President's Cup team international goodbye, unless he's to go on a heater here.
Yeah.
And really turn things around. He's not getting there.
It's got to be this week. It's got to be this week. I mean, he basically could very well have played himself off of that President's Cup team. Yeah. I think they'd feel a lot more comfortable with a number of other players. Speaking of that President's Cup team, we do have a few of the guys that, are going to be front and center. Tom Kim, Sung Jae Im. I'm just thinking about the internationals here. Hideki Matsuyama. But it's the usual suspects at the top of the leaderboard here. Scotty Scheffler coming off that incredible Olympic gold medal, plus 350. Xander at 8-1, Rory 10, Morikawa 12. Those are your 4 kind of key favorites. And then a big group of, well, not a huge group of 20s. Aberg at 20, Cantlay 22, Tommy and Decky at 25-1. And then a group of 33s, including Corey Connors, Vic, Kim, Sung Jae Im, and Russell Henley. And, you mentioned, Patty, right off the bat, maybe we'll just kind of transition this into your picks. But, with it not being the Bombers course, the ball strikers got to like it. I think this is kind of a nice course for Corey Connors.
Yeah, I think Corey Connors is going to be on a lot of people's betting cards. I don't have him, full transparency, on my betting card, but if you guys were to convince me, I certainly could see it, because I do agree. I think ball striking is going to be very important. Putting here at every golf tournament, it's very important. But I think if you can pluck and plot, or your way around the course, if you're putting it close, you should be able to have some success. And that's kind of the golfer that Corey Connors is. But I'm sticking with the trend of elite ball strikers, and I might be adding a late card here, because you mentioned Rory McIlroy is now to 10-1. I think I might add Rory to my card, because say what you will about him not being able to win a major over the last many, many years, he really shines in these FedEx Cup playoffs. He just missed out on the playoff at this very event last year. But since the beginning of May, Rory's only finished outside of the top 15 once. And that was at the the Open, where he was in one of those groups where the weather was just insane. He's won already on tour. He is in addition, this season, top 5 finishes. He's got 4 of them over that stretch as well. I think I saw it earlier this week at 9. At 10, I'm thinking I'm going to add him. So he's not an official play just yet, but just looking on that, I had to make that note. My card starts at the 25-1. I think there's a couple of golfers here that I really like at this price. And there are 2 golfers that had a lot of success in Paris. It's Tommy Fleetwood at 25-1. I also like him inside the top 10 at plus 188. He's been really solid this year. Come off that silver at the Olympics, where he very much had a chance to win the thing. He's 4 top 20 finishes in his last 6 starts, and he has some pretty good course history at TPC Southwind. He finished 1 shot outside the playoff alongside Rory. Both of them ended up finishing T3, and he actually finished here at T4 back in 2019. The other guy at 25-1 that I like, it's Hideki Matsuyama. When he is hot, when Decky is hot, he is one of the best golfers on the planet. And we saw that in Paris when he picked up that bronze medal. Like, he was leading after day 1. There was a really good chance that he could have easily won this thing. He could have came home with a gold or a silver. He's played really well at this course as well. He lost in a playoff back in 2021 and then finished last year at T16. He's also had some success at this golf course when it used to host one of the World Golf Championship events when this was held in the middle of the season. So he's got some course history there as well. Another guy at this price, I think he's one of the most underrated golfers on the planet right now, and that's Russ Henley at 33-1. He's got great course history here, 2 top 10 finishes in 2 of his last 4 tries at this golf course. And in fact, over the last 36 round, he has gained 2.27 strokes at TPC Southwind. That is first in the entire field. He's 16th in stroke gain total this year, 9th in driving accuracy, 33 in strokes gained putting, and he's 13 on tour in putting average on Bermuda grass. Those are all those metrics that I talked about that are key for success here. He's 13th in the FedEx Cup standing right now, 13. He hasn't won on tour yet this year. That just goes to show you how solid of a season that he is having. So Henley at 33-1, the book continues to disrespect him. Yes, I know he hasn't picked up a win this year, but he's always sniffing around it. And the fact that this isn't a very long course, but it's a course where you need to be accurate, I think it bodes really, really well for Henley. 2 other quick bets that aren't outrights that I like. I did mention I might be adding Rory to my card, but him at even money to be inside the top 10 is a no-brainer for me. And we briefly talked about Pendrith. I think him inside the finish inside the top 20 is a great bet as well. I know he's a bomber. I know that's what you think of when you think of Taylor Pendrith, but his game is so much more round than just mashing the ball off the tee now. He's inside the top 10 in putting. His scrambling and his approach game has vastly improved. For him to be inside the top 20 at the price that we're getting, I really like it. So I'm going to roll with Pendy inside the top 20 as one of my best placing bets as well.
You want me to fire?
I was just seeing how much longer I could go without talking. I sat there like 10 minutes. I was like, and I don't even want to. I love golf day. I get to save my voice a bit. I get to sit back. I just get to take in all your picks. I've already got some crossover with Patty. So Huss, you go next, and then I'll lay it out.
All right. Well, this is I think back to last year, a little bit of course history. A guy that seems to come up big when there's a lot of money on the line outside of the majors. I'm going to have to hold my nose to make this pick, and I will do my best not to have to watch him because I don't have the patience. But Patrick Cantlay at 22-1. He lost in a playoff last year to Lucas Glover.
I can't believe you just did that. I cannot believe you just did that. I have to talk now. Like I can't. Wow.
I know. My nemesis.
You must hate the rest of the card. Like if you're just like, you know what, I'm going Cantlay. Sorry, I shouldn't have interrupted you, Huss. I should have just sat here and shit my pants when you said Cantlay. Instead, I'll continue to listen. Like
I like him at the number right now. I think he's live at this course. I think a lot of the guys ahead of him are comfortable enough that listen, Scotty could easily come and win this tournament. I mean, he's just that damn good. Rory as well, Xander. But these guys are thinking about the Tour Championship right now. They're basically already in it. Cantlay loves the checks. And as I said, he is a guy that over the course of his career, Muirfield Village, another place that he's been good at. There are a few courses that he's popped. And obviously he had a great tournament last year and lost to Lucas Glover in the playoffs. So, I mean, if we're looking for outrights, Cantlay at 22-1, I can get behind. I certainly like him top 10 at plus 175. I think that's something that we'll see. And I mean, listen, it would be a nice consolation to have him as an outright if he's in that final group, because we all know how painful it is to tune in on Sunday afternoon and watch him in that final group, getting all that TV time. I would like to take Ludwig. I mean, everything that you said, Pat, Ludwig Aberg is one of those guys that, listen, he's got the entire game. He's the total package right now. He's at 20-1. If we're not focusing on the driver as much as we normally do, get it out into a good spot in the fairway. I mean, approach, putting, everything other than the short game for Ludwig is absolutely world class. And I think that if he's getting into a situation where he can just hit a ton of greens, he's a guy that could absolutely win. So those are the couple guys that I'm looking at the top of the card. As we go down, the other guy I do like is Tom Kim. Kim has had a couple really crushing, near misses. So the Olympics was a huge thing for him when it came to the military service and all that. We'll see how he bounces back. I don't think I'm going to put him on my outright right now, but I'm certainly down with him on a top 10 or a top 25. I can't overlook the fact that Aaron Rai won last week, and we did see a double from Lucas Glover going in and in. Not saying that will happen again, but man, is this guy playing some great golf, and the way that he turned things around on the back nine, being down 4 strokes with like 5 or 6 holes to go. Because he got a little bit of help, but he did get a ton of birdies to get up into that spot. Maybe he keeps going. I mean, at 40-1 might be worth a long shot. And then the final guy that I'm going to put on my board, and I have to see him because there is something to be said about motivation right now, about how, where guys are in the tournament. Victor Perez is 70th on the list. There is no one that is under the gun more to come up with a huge performance than him. He's got the most catching up to do of anybody in this field. And I think back, he narrowly missed a medal at the Olympics. And of course, he was, in France, a home guy. It would have been so huge for him. He ended up 4th. He ended up beating John Rahm, who of course finished 5th right there and had an amazing end of the tournament with that 63 in the final round. So, maybe a little sprinkle on Victor Perez at plus 125-1 will be the mix. But I'm looking at Vic. He needs a top 10, if not top 5, to get enough points to be there. 7-1 on the top 10 for Victor Perez is definitely a bet. And I will put a little sprinkle on Victor at 125-1 to maybe keep that fourth round magic from Paris and roll it through and be sticking around for next week.
I don't want to take too much time because I know we're under the gun here, but I want to go back on Ludwig for a second here because I was thinking it, but he has not shot inside the 60s on a Sunday round since the Masters, since Augusta. This is a guy that I think is hitting somewhere in his season right now. Kind of like, we can't forget, like 14 months ago, this guy was playing university golf at Texas Tech. I think he's hit that rookie lull like that we see sometimes in other sports, in the NBA, where they're used to only playing 30 games and they're at game 65 and they kind of hit that lull. But when the playoffs come and where the stakes are elevated, they get rejuvenated and they're ready to go. That's kind of what I feel like with Ludwig Aberg right now. Like when the lights are shining bright, he's through the grind. That was his first season of the PGA Tour. And let's not forget, he was also on the Ryder Cup. He was also there at Paris. Like, this is a lot for a young guy. Now that is done and through, now it's on to a very important part of the schedule. I think he gets back to what we saw, a few months ago when we were all falling in love with this guy and saying like, okay, this is why this guy's going to be a world number one at some point in his career.
Dusty,
okay, here's what I've got. So I am on Henley. Patty, you laid out the case for Henley a little bit earlier on. Big spots, the Open T5, US Open T7. Being in a big field and finding a way to have success certainly is not going to rattle him. So I'm him at 33-1. I am going to hop on Morikawa at 12-1. T5, T13 the last 2 years here. And his run pre-Olympics was T4, 4th, 2nd, T14, T13, 4th, T16. Like, as consistent as they can possibly be in the top 20, and I should say top 15s because only one of those wasn't a top 15, and 4 of them were top 10. So Morikawa was only at 12-1, so he would be the guy that I look at the top of the board. I mentioned Russell Henley at 33-1, and then this one I'm a little concerned about his course history, but played well lately. T2, T7 his last 2 events as Billy Ho. I like a Billy Horschel here and throw him on the card at 40-1. Hasn't had a great run at this event, but has been playing well as of late. So my 3 guys, Morikawa at 12-1, Henley at 33-1, and Billy Horschel at 40-1. I don't know if any of you have any thoughts on any of those guys as we look to build a parlay. Huss is going to pick up lunch. I think it's getting dropped off or something. He just took off. Patty, any thoughts on Billy Ho?
Billy Ho, it's looking at his top 20 number, minus 105. He's around the same spot as a guy like Tony Finau. Aaron Rye is at plus 110. You go a little higher with Tom Kim at minus 125. So I think Billy O is getting a lot of respect just with how well he has played as of late. Course history certainly is a little bit scary, but I do think that recent form and course fit is a little more important than course history to me, at least at this moment. No doubt I'm on the same side as you with our other picks there. Colin Morikawa.
Yeah.
He's a guy that, again, I would not be surprised to win, but at 12-1 this year, he's done just about everything except lift a trophy. Yeah. Could this be now? Absolutely it could. But, to have him inside the top 10 at plus 110, I absolutely love that. I love it, no doubt. So all 3 of the years that you threw out there, for sure, I think I would lean towards more Henley because obviously I have him in my card, or Morikawa because you're right. He has been a top 10 machine this year.
I was not picking up lunch, by the way. I had to sign. I'm back in the game, an official Canadian citizen for another 10 years.
Hey, nice work, buddy. Congratulations.
Passport. I'm legal again. We're good to go. Listen, I think the Henley top 10, Henley top 20 at minus 120. I love I couldn't agree more with you, Patty, on the Rory top 10. If we want something that I think we can, listen, you can't take anything to the bank just yet, but McIlroy, FedEx Cup playoffs, How could we not do it? And then, I mean, for my guys, we could certainly throw Cantlay in, although I know that would be tough for all of us. I mean, what do you guys think if we want to get a better number and juice this up a little bit? I mean, we got minuses before. It's minus 110 for Rory, minus 120 for Henley. What do you guys think about Perez in the top 20? Coming off that Olympic performance, being the guy that needs it the most, he's plus 220 to finish top 20 in a 70-person event.
He does need it. I mean, he
needs it.
Pretty much got to have it.
Well, I mean, he absolutely does. And I mean, again, playing very well coming into this. I mean, the other guy we could take is Rye if we want to at plus 110. It's about half the odds. I mean, the number wouldn't be quite as good. And then, I mean, if we wanted to, I'm fine if we want to throw Oberg or Cantlay on it. But I would be in on the top 20 for either Rye or Perez if you guys wanted to get a bit better of a number.
Patty, do you like Rye or Perez?
I like Rye better.
One for him last week.
One for me last week. He's been a top 20 machine. But I mean, if you want to get a little bit crazy and you want to play into that narrative standpoint and get a better number, a little more fun of a bet, I think the Perez.
I'll say this: playing it safe doesn't always work for us either. Right? Sometimes it's a guy like Perez who ruins it for us on the other side by knocking one of our guys out of the top 20. So
you know what? It's the playoffs. Let's get a little crazy, fellas.
Let's do it. Victor Perez.
Yep.
Top 20 is plus 220. Henley top 20 minus 120, and Rory top 10 minus 110. We throw that together for the parlay.
Beautiful.
Yeah, let's get that together. And you're talking about some sure things. And again, nothing is a sure thing in the world of sports wagering. But if you go to the combo cards near the top, right now, there is a FedEx St.Jude Super Boost. Scotty Scheffler, top 10. Rory McIlroy, top 20. It is minus 136. The boys have boosted it all the way up to plus 109. So a little bit of a combo card special for that one. Max bet at $20, but still, hey, that's one that I think anyone could get behind for sure. Obviously, we've got our exclusives up as well. I won't run through them all. I'll quickly bang out my Greggy's golf specials though. Rory McIlroy, Tommy Fleetwood, Hideki Matsuyama, all to finish inside the top 20. That's plus 325. And then a little bit of a longer shot. Aaron Rye, Sepp Straka, and Russ Henley, all inside the top 20 at plus 900.
Hey, Dusty, I got to run right now just because we're jumping in. I've got this producer, but I'll look forward to talking to you. Special guest star on WST today, 2:30 Winnipeg time. The big guy. We're going to be talking about these Oiler offer sheets and maybe getting into a few Coolbet related topics. Just
beautiful. I love it. I love it, boys. This was a fun one. Patty, we'll talk to you again next week, buddy.
Congrats again, Pat.
Oil Stream coming up here. That's the married man, Pat Gregoire. He'll always remember Aaron Rye winning the weekend he got married. See you guys later.